Here's a rewritten version of your story, keeping the plot, context, and details intact while changing the character names and maintaining natural, standard American English. The length is approximately 11,000 characters, as requested. Nothing smells quite like burning rubber, except maybe burning revenge. At 6 a.m., I wasn't expecting either. I stumbled out of bed, groggy and desperate for coffee, when a sharp, acrid stench sliced through the air like a slap. Smoke, thick, black, and twisting, billowed into the sky outside my window. My stomach sank as I bolted for the door. The moment I stepped outside, my lungs choked on the toxic reek of charred metal and gasoline. My car, my gorgeous, meticulously restored 1967 Mustang, was now a roaring inferno in my driveway. Flames devoured the sleek midnight blue paint I'd spent years perfecting. The heat blasted off it, relentless, making my skin slick despite the crisp morning chill. I barely noticed my neighbors gathering, their murmurs buzzing like static. My world had narrowed to one gut-wrenching sight. Then, as if fate wanted to twist the knife, a familiar, grating voice cut through the chaos. Well, looks like you should have followed HOA rules. I spun around, fists clenched, and there she was, Linda Grayson, the self-proclaimed dictator of the neighborhood. She stood on her pristine lawn, arms crossed over her sweater, watching my car burn like it was a minor annoyance. Her face showed no concern, just that smug, sanctimonious smirk she wore like a crown. My voice came out raw. "You think this is funny?" Linda sighed, all patronizing pity, like I was some brat she had to scold. "I warned you, Ethan. That car was an eyesore. HOA rules clearly state vehicles over 10 years old belong in a garage. If you'd listened, this wouldn't have happened." I stared, grappling with her nerve. My Mustang wasn't some beat-up clunker. It was a masterpiece, a slice of history. Yet Linda had been hounding me since I moved in. First came the snarky jabs about neighborhood aesthetics. Then the fines started piling up in my mailbox, all because I wouldn't tuck my car away like a dirty secret. But this was unhinged. "Are you seriously blaming me?" My voice trembled, rage and disbelief warring inside me. She shrugged, all exaggerated innocence. "I'm just saying, accidents happen." Before I could fire back, sirens wailed, and a fire truck screeched onto the street. Firefighters leapt out, battling the blaze, but I knew it was over. The Mustang was toast, a lifetime of work, thousands of dollars, endless greasy weekends, all ash. My fists tightened as helplessness crushed my chest. A burly firefighter with soot streaked across his face approached me once the flames died. "Any idea how this started?" I swallowed, glancing at Linda, who watched with unsettling calm. "Not yet, but I'd bet it wasn't an accident." He nodded, trading a look with his partner. "We'll check it out, see if anything looks off." My gut screamed Linda was behind this. Her composure, her satisfaction, it stank worse than the wreckage. But suspicion wasn't evidence, and without proof, she'd skate free. As the firefighters poked through the charred husk, I caught Mr. Thompson, my nosy neighbor, on his porch. Arms crossed, he gave me a sharp, knowing look before slipping inside. A spark of hope flickered. If anyone saw something, it was him. Linda sighed loudly. "Quite the show, Ethan, but I hope you'll learn your lesson about compliance." My blood boiled. "Get off my property." She smirked, but didn't argue, sauntering off like she hadn't just watched my life go up in flames. I glared at the smoldering ruin, my mind racing. She'd crossed a line. If she thought she'd walk away clean, she was sorely mistaken. The next day, the stench of burnt metal and rubber still hung heavy as I stood in my driveway, staring at what was left of my Mustang. It wasn't just a car, it was years of sweat, busted knuckles, and every spare cent I could scrape together. Seeing it reduced to a twisted heap churned my gut, but fury outburned the grief. I wasn't letting this go. I needed a lawyer, not some pushover, but a pit bull who'd chew through Linda's HOA cronies and their petty rules. After hours of research, I found her, Sarah Bennett, a legend for shredding HOA cases. She was fierce, unstoppable, and had zero tolerance for entitled tyrants. When I walked into her office, she sized me up like she was deciding if I was worth the hassle. I barely started explaining before she leaned back, smirking. "You ticked off an HOA queen? Welcome to the club. It's bigger than you'd guess. How much do you want her to pay?" Her bluntness threw me, but I liked it. 100 grand, minimum. Sarah whistled. Nice. What you got to prove she torched it? My jaw tightened. Nothing solid yet. She clicked her pen, nodding. No problem. We don't need her holding the match. Just show she's involved. Fines, threats, harassment. Give me anything. I handed over the stack of letters Linda had sent, fining me for parking in my own driveway. I'd refused to pay, and she'd promised consequences. Sarah skimmed them, her eyebrow arching. Oh, this is gold. Threats, crazy fines, then a fire? That's a story juries eat up. Everyone loves an HOA villain. It was a start, but I needed more. Then I remembered Mr. Thompson's doorbell cam. If it caught Linda snooping, I had a shot. That afternoon, I knocked on his door. It cracked open, and one squinting I peered out. Took you long enough, he grumbled. Figured you'd ask. I frowned. You saw something? He grunted, swinging the door wide. His place reeked of old paperbacks and coffee, a crime show muttering on the TV. He shuffled to his laptop. Didn't see her spark it, but she was skulking by your car right before it blew. Thought you'd want this. He spun the screen toward me. My pulse spiked. Grainy footage showed Linda pacing near my driveway at midnight, glancing around nervously. She pulled something small from her purse, crouched by the front tire, then left. Minutes later, smoke curled up. It wasn't airtight, but it placed her there. Sarah grinned when she saw it. This is our ticket. With the threats and fines, it's motive. We're filing today. I expected Linda to squirm when she got the lawsuit, but she doubled down. Days later, an HOA letter hit my mailbox. Not an apology, but a fine for neighborhood damage due to my negligence. I stormed to her house, fuming. She answered with that smug smile, cradling a teacup like she'd been waiting. Oh, Ethan, she cooed, fake sympathy dripping. I heard you got my note. Such a pity about your car, but the board had to act. A fire affects our safety and image. I gaped. You're fining me for the fire you started? She clutched her chest, gasping like I'd insulted her honor. That's a wild accusation, baseless. I stepped closer, voice low. I've got video of you by my car minutes before it ignited, plus every threat you sent. For a split second, her mask slipped. Panic flashed in her eyes. Then she smoothed it over. If you had real proof, you'd be at the cops, not here. Pay the fine like a good neighbor. My teeth ground together. She was daring me, but the wheels were already turning. Court day came fast. Sarah had every document, every shred of evidence locked and loaded. We sat on the plaintiff's side while Linda, in a crisp taupe suit radiating righteousness, sat with her lawyer, a dour guy who looked allergic to joy. Her team went first, claiming my car was a hazard and the fire a fluke, painting me as a rule-breaking slob. Then Sarah took the floor, a predator smelling blood. She laid out the threats, the fines, the harassment, then played Thompson's video. Linda's fingers dug into her lawyer's arm. She was rattled. Sarah faced the judge. Your Honor, this isn't just HOA overreach, it's vendetta. My client deserves every cent. Linda squirmed, her lips a tight line. Then the curveball hit. An HOA board member, Paul Carter, stood from the crowd, adjusting his tie. Your Honor, I've got something to say. The room hushed. Even Linda froze. Paul cleared his throat. I'm Paul Carter, 3 years on the board. I've got emails from Linda to the board about running Ethan out over his car. When fines failed, she suggested creative measures. Linda leapt up, red-faced. That's a lie. He's making it up. Paul didn't blink, pulling out printed emails. These came from her HOA account. I kept them when I heard about the suit. Something felt wrong. Sarah took the stack, smirking as she handed them to the judge. We'd like these in evidence. The judge skimmed them, his face stern. These emails contradict MS. Grayson's claims. With the other evidence, I rule for the plaintiff. Mr. Davis, you're awarded $100,000. I sat there, stunned. I'd won. Linda exploded. This is ridiculous. I demand an appeal. The judge's glare shut her up. Sit down, MS. Grayson, or it's contempt. She sank back, seething. I couldn't hide my grin. She'd lost her grip. After court, Sarah clapped my shoulder. Told you we'd nail her. I shook my head, dazed. I can't believe she thought she'd win. Sarah laughed. HOA tyrants always do, until they don't. Weeks later, Linda got booted as HOA president. The board was done with her antics. especially after the lawsuit hit the local paper. Then Paul called, chuckling. You'll love this. Linda's selling her house. I nearly dropped my phone. No way. Yep. Between your suit and the HOA digging into her past, she's broke. It's on the market. I grinned. Actions had consequences, and Linda finally got hers. A few weeks later, I cruised the neighborhood in my new Mustang. Not my old one, but close enough. It felt right. As I passed Linda's place, her for sale sign gleamed. She stepped out, arms full of boxes, and our eyes locked. No snark, no lectures, just a tight-lipped scowl as she hurried by. I rolled down my window. Rough luck, Linda. She didn't answer, just kept walking, head low. I drove off, laughing. The neighborhood was free, and with $100,000, a new ride, and Linda's rain and ashes, I'd come out on top.